Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 297 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today, Sister Faustina is going to ask God for a great intellect, and for no other reason than to better understand Him, which is the most perfect reason of all, isn't it? However, it is often common that we want to have a great intellect in order to impress people, puff up our ego, make us the smartest person in the room, and not because of being able to draw people closer to Christ, or for the fact that, knowledge and wisdom and learning can help us have a deeper understanding of God's mind. And so we need to make sure that when we are asking for intellect, or if we are seeking to have a greater intellect, that we are doing it for the right reasons. So that's what we're going to talk about today in Notebook 5, numbers 1472 through 1477. January 8th. During Holy Mass, I had a moment of knowledge concerning Father S., that great glory is being given to God through our mutual efforts. And even though we are far from each other, we are often together because we are united by a common goal. O my Jesus, my only desire, although I wanted to receive you today with greater fervor than ever, nevertheless, precisely on this day, my soul is drier than ever. My faith grows in power, and so the fruit of your coming, Lord, will be abundant. Although many a time you come without touching my senses and reign only in the loftier part of me, the senses too sometimes rejoice at your coming. I often ask the Lord Jesus for an intellect enlightened by faith. I express this to the Lord in these words: Jesus, give me an intellect, a great intellect, for this only, that I may understand you better, because the better I get to know you, the more ardently will I love you. Jesus, I ask you for a powerful intellect, that I may understand divine and lofty matters. Jesus, give me a keen intellect, with which I will get to know your divine essence and your indwelling triune life. Give my intellect these capabilities and aptitudes by means of your special grace. Although I know that there is a capability through grace which the Church gives me, there is still a treasure of graces which you give us, O Lord, when we ask you for them. But if my request is not pleasing to you, then I beg you, do not give me the inclination to pray thus. I strive for the greatest perfection possible in order to be useful to the Church. Greater by far is my bond to the Church. The sanctity or the fall of each individual soul has an effect upon the whole Church. Observing myself and those who are close to me, I have come to understand how great an influence I have on other souls, not by any heroic deeds, as these are striking in themselves, but by small actions like a movement of the hand, a look, and many other things too numerous to mention, which have an effect on and reflect in the souls of others, as I myself have noticed. Oh, how good it is that our rule demands strict silence in the dormitory, common bedrooms, and does not allow us to stay in them unless it is absolutely necessary. I have at present a little room in which 2 of us sleep, but at the time of my sickness, when I had to stay in bed, I found out how bothersome it was if someone was sitting in the bedroom all the time. Sister N had some handiwork to do and sat in the bedroom almost all of the time, and another sister would come to instruct her on how to do it. It's difficult to describe how much this tires one, especially when one is ill and has spent a night in pain. Every word has a repercussion somewhere in the brain, especially when the eyes are heavy with sleep. O Rule, how much love there is in you. When, during Vespers, the Magnificat was being sung, and they came to the words, "He has shown the strength of his arm," a profound spirit of recollection enveloped my soul, and I understood that the Lord would soon accomplish his work in my soul. I am not surprised now that the Lord did not disclose everything to me at first. You got to love this part where Sister Faustina is telling the rule of silence, that there's so much love in that rule. And she's very appreciative of it because the poor sick woman, she's just trying to catch some sleep in her room. And she's got other sisters in there talking. And this is quite burdensome. I think pretty much every parent on the planet can relate to this. Just need like an hour of silence, children. Just an hour, maybe 5 minutes. 1 minute? Yes, I think we all can relate. I also love this part in here today where she talks about how she wants to strive for the greatest perfection possible in order to be useful to the church. So many times we gripe and complain and, point out all the wrongdoings of people within the church. And yet we rarely look to make sure that we are working for the greatest perfection possible in order to be useful for the church. I thought that was a great line and something definitely to reflect upon and kind of gauge where you are. Maybe the finger needs to be turned back around, and maybe you need to see where you can help make things better. But today, what I wanted to really focus on is how Sister Faustina is asking Christ for a great intellect. She says, Jesus, give me an intellect, a great intellect, for this alone, that I may understand you better. And, I am one of those people that, especially when I was younger, I wanted to have a great intellect in order to impress people. And I still do, I guess, to a certain degree. Today, now at this point in my life, I really like to learn. It's nice to just learn when you don't have to be graded or take a test or anything like that. I really like to learn and I really like to teach. And so I I do spend a lot of time trying to grow my intellect. And I know that my pride seeps in there from time to time, and I just, want to be smarter because I want to impress people, or I want to be, the smartest person in the room or whatever. But, that's not the right reason. Really, nowadays, it's mostly because I really like learning. There's just so much to learn, and I do enjoy doing that. But it is common that a lot of us want a greater intellect to be the smartest person in the room, or to wow people, or to be able to kind of, put somebody in their place because we have all the knowledge. One of the things that is so interesting online is if there's like a debate, some people will say, well, I am a, such and such in this field, and I have, a master's in this field. And so I know a little bit about this. As soon as they say that, there'll be tons of people that are like, it doesn't really matter if you have a degree. That doesn't mean you know anything about this subject. You haven't any real world experience or something like that. But if you try to make a comment on that same subject and you don't have a degree, people will say, you don't have any experience in this. You don't have any knowledge in this. You're just a regular person who thinks they know everything about this. And so it's like you can't win. If you have the degrees and you have the expertise in a certain area, people will say it doesn't matter. Or if you don't have any expertise and you're just commenting, people will tell you to shut up because you don't have any expertise. But what that all boils down to is pride. Everybody wants to be the smartest person in the room. And so if we feel threatened by your degree, then we'll tell you it doesn't matter. Or if we feel threatened that you might have a little bit more knowledge about something, even though you don't have a degree, then we'll tell you to shut up. It's so interesting, so bizarre, but so interesting at the same time. Weirdly interesting. And something else that's worth mentioning is that oftentimes when we are done with formal school, we just stop learning. Once the teachers and the classrooms and all the, academic books are gone, we're just done. I did my time and I don't have anything else to learn. And I think that's a real tragedy because we do find God in the world. And there's so many things to learn about and to grow in knowledge over that, just to stop after maybe high school or maybe your bachelor's degree or even your master's degree is is sad, because learning new things helps keep things fresh and new and exciting, and there's always something that you uncover that is like a moment, and it all really can lead us to a deeper and closer relationship with God. And that's why Sister Faustina wants it. She wants a more powerful intellect in the, she says, divine and loftier matters, and those are the most important things, obviously. But just to have a nice, healthy intellect that is maturing and growing with the years is something that we should all desire. And if you're reading religious books and studying, maybe theology and things like that, that's a super great way to learn even more about our Catholic faith or more about God. So I guess my words of encouragement today are keep learning, pick a subject, pick anything and study it and learn it. And we should never grow tired of, learning about God's world and all the different things that he has to show us. There's just so much, and we should be so grateful that we have such powerful minds and that God gives us the ability to grow in intelligence, which will only help us get closer to him. So that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 298. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.